At Humoriso, we're not just another HR consultancy. We're a team of dedicated experts wanting to bring your business forward. Our Humoriso Technology Solutions, HTS, are a different kind of HR tech. Give real-time insights without overwhelming managers with too much data. So whether you're a growing startup, an established company, our human resources outsource support, payroll management are all there to help drive your business forward. So check us out and see what Humoriso could do for you today.
Good morning. Welcome to
morning.
the HR Morning Show, everybody. Danielle, good morning. Serge, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good
How you
morning.
feeling after Wreckfest, Joel? Like, are
I'm
you
wrecked.
feeling like
I'm so wrecked from
Wrecked.
Wreckfest. Wrecked fest. No, I'm feeling good. Excited. It was great to get together with everybody who was at Wreckfest. Would love to know from everybody in the comments who's out there if you were at Wreckfest, what you thought of Wreckfest. Serge, how about you? You were alive and kicking at Wreckfest. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Like, I feel safe actually, because after a week in the shadiest hotel I've ever stayed, thanks to White Evan. First day I should have known, we got offered crank within
Crank.
2 minutes of
Oh my
our
God.
walking around the hotel. I'm like, ooh, it's gonna be a
Like
little bit
sounds like
rough.
my freshman year at USC
Oh
in South
wow.
Central LA.
Well, it got even worse. We grabbed a cab and he picked us up and he's like, "Are you guys really staying here? Like, really?" And I'm like, "Why? What's wrong?" He's like,
Oh
you're
no.
gonna get shot." I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is great." He spent
Sick.
20 minutes just like bashing the area, being the craziest area in all of Nashville. So that was good. I survived. But
Oh my
Danielle, where
gosh.
were you? We missed you at
I,
Wreckfest.
I
I was very disappointed
I
that
know. I'm sorry. I went on a speaking tour, guys. I had two different speaking engagements in one
Amazing.
week, the same week of Breakfast, and across the country. So I flew on last week during Breakfast to San Francisco. Stayed there for 2 nights. I was with LG. They had a summit all about AI and spoke on a
Nice.
panel about the future of work. So that was very fun. And then took a red eye, flew to Atlanta, and I basically drove from Atlanta to Asheville, North Carolina, where I am currently. And my boyfriend and I just made a nice little weekend out of it, and then did a keynote yesterday at a camp conference.
Okay.
Very interesting stuff. A
Nice.
lot of intergenerational issues here. And yeah, just staying in Asheville for the week. The conference is 3 days, but I basically just have the two first days that I'm speaking. But honestly, it's really cool to see other keynote speakers do their thing. I think that's kind of why I'm sticking around. Plus, nice to get out of New York. So it's been really
Amazing.
great. Great
That's
week.
Well,
fun.
that is great to hear. Joel, what was your biggest takeaway from Wreckfest?
Well, first of all, we got to shout out Emily in the chat here. Emily, it's good to see you again. It was nice to meet you at Wreckfest. I think for me the what's happening, just going to all these events and obviously going to multiple events a year, you see a lot of similar people, and so you kind of get to deepen the relationship. So it's been really, really good to, see familiar faces, have some of those connections and conversations that you couldn't have at other events. And then always just good to see what's going on the vendor side and what type of technology is coming into the market. I think they had over 100 vendors at RecFest,
Wow.
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, that's obviously just a lot of vendors, but it's cool just to see some of the point solutions, some of the end-to-end solutions, the big names, the up and coming names, see the creativity at the booths. Serge, I guess who do you think did we'll score it here. Who do you think did the best job with the vendor activation? The booth activation, I should say.
Without a doubt. Well, actually, there's two. I'm going to
Okay,
call
good.
out two. So, Vetti, my friends Michelle and Jason over there had this really cool contest where you scan a QR code and you put in what your shoe size was plus what you like. And
Loved. what you loved.
What you love or like.
Love. Very
Love.
specific.
So I chose hockey for some reason. Well, I chose my kids, but then it's really hard to.
Family first. I love
Yeah.
Like,
that.
not enough.
So I got these really cool sneakers, which I'll share on LinkedIn. So some Converse that were
Very
spray
cool.
printed, amazing.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Team Taylor. I think I saw your post, Joel, and I had to say my kids, they all got a Team Taylor custom hat, which they
Cool.
wore everywhere this weekend. So anytime, like, I think a lot of the vendors should always have something for kids because that it's going to get used. If it's really cool, they're going to wear it everywhere, right? So
Yeah.
what was your favorite activation?
I think those two really took the show. I got some Liverpool customized, like Liverpool Converse shoes, which is awesome. It was like a surprise because I didn't, as you're like moving really quick through all of the booths, I wasn't really paying attention. I'm like just trying to like work and meet people, and Michelle was like, "You need to enter in." And I was like, "Okay, I'll enter in." And then I was like, "Oh, great! I won." And I came over. I was like, "Oh my god, this is like actually this is
That's cool.
amazing." And my wife was like, "Wow." She's like, "It's actually because usually she's used to like a couple of stuffed toys for the kids, and she's like, I'm gonna throw those out." So any of those toys just go to the garbage at my house.
Now it's all about wearables.
Yes.
The wearables take the cake.
Yeah, and I think it's just like, I mean, I like the idea of. I think the custom hats was cool because it wasn't only just the custom hats, which are great, but they created a line, so people are waiting in a line, so then you can have the conversations. And so I think that's where it's smart, right? If you can create that demand. Only kind of thing which sucks when you have to wait in line is it was hot.
It was
like
really
it was
hot.
like 80 something degrees,
Wow.
90% humidity.
Yeah.
So you're just
Jeez.
sweating, and it's like I got up to speak on the second day. And man, I was just sweating everywhere because it's just hot. There's nothing you can do. And it's like, I'm like, am I just nervous here? But I'm like, no, I'm sweating. It's like when we're doing the podcast interviews too, it was the same thing. Like some of my guests, it was like the light was hitting them, the sunlight,
Oh God.
and they're just sweating. And I'm like putting them on the spotlight. Like, is AI going to replace us all? They're just sweating.
I know that maybe you didn't go to as many of the sessions as other people, but were there any standouts that people were talking about? Obviously, Pause spoke, which
let's
good.
talk about that. Let's talk about Pause.
So
our
good.
friend Posner, first
Posner.
day
Posner.
on the Posner.
Posner, but we call him Pause. Okay.
Pause. Okay, all right.
Pause.
First day, and basically opened the Inspire stage. And he went on probably for 20 minutes. It was one of the most inspiring speeches, keynotes that I ever been a part of. Obviously, he shared his journey with cancer. He shared his journey with his brother. I cried a little bit. I'll be completely frank. There's a little tear that rolled down. And I think that was the whole audience. But I left really inspired. I left with the message that, hey, we've got a short amount of time on this earth. Let's take advantage of it. And let's, so shout out to Adam. He killed it. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, and it was, I know after Transform last year, I was getting onto the plane and I heard about my uncle who unfortunately he passed away. It was in a car wreck, right? This really unexpected. And but then also Adam had, just told me that he was, got diagnosed with cancer as well at that conference. So it was like a double whammy of like what is going on. But I also think like those are the conversations too around like resilience and like dealing with things, which I think in HR, in recruiting, our job this is our job, right? Dealing with people. And so what can happen is I think when you're dealing with people a lot, you kind of become desensitized to the fact you're dealing with people and just real life things that are happening, because obviously when you're in HR in particular, you're dealing with you're dealing with births and deaths and sickness and real things with people. And I think you can get desensitized to that in some ways because it is your job, or you can do it. But I think especially in this day and age where everything, like you said, Danielle, it's AI driven, it goes very tech heavy, and that's just been the focus. I think just Adam starting off the day that way just kind of reminded us all of like, okay, hey, we're in this moment. and just being present with each other is actually really important, because we don't actually know if we'll all be here next year, which is really, it's
Yeah.
kind of sobering, but it's a good reminder. And I know Mark Smith over at Medtronic, that was another talk, which was really, really good. For any of you guys who don't know, Mark Smith leads talent at Medtronic, obviously a massive company, but he shared his story where he actually fell out of a tree earlier. I think it was last year. He was cutting down a branch, chainsaw got trapped, and he landed like on his head, and
Wow.
like had a real I think it was, I had some sort of like traumatic brain thing that happened. And what he shared was that during his recovery, he had to actually just get rid of all electronics. And what's happened is now, is like, as a leader, he's really encouraging his team to like disconnect more. And as a leader, he is really being intentional now with like his day and how he structures things so we can get his best work done. So we had a
Mm,
really great conversation and just gave really practical tips on how to disconnect and why it's important, and like why, as a leader in particular, when he's leading a team, he used to be distracted when he was in conversations with people, like always responding to emails while he's on Zoom
Yeah.
calls. And he just said now he's present, he's in that moment. So it was like another really, really good reminder. And I think
God.
it's sign of the times, right? Like, let's disconnect a little bit, let AI do its thing. Amazing. Let it take over some of that admin and maybe the things we don't want to do. But let's use that to really be present in the moments with people. Because at the
I
end of the
love that.
day, that's the most important thing in
Yeah.
what we do. It's people.
Yeah.
Can't recruit without
Interest
people.
Interestingly enough, there are a lot of similarities that I'm finding within the camp world to the talent world. And what you're
Tell us.
talking about with the disconnecting, like at summer camp, it's always, for the most part, it's always been that kids don't have their phones.
Mm,
And specifically after the pandemic, with, all of this craziness that happened, kids learning at home, not being with other kids, there's a lot of challenges that have come about, from a social standpoint. Like,
Yeah.
kids just don't know how to talk to each other. So there was this guy I met here. He runs a camp for kids to like learn social skills.
love
And I'm
that.
like, actually,
So
summer camp
needed.
is so needed.
Yeah.
And it really teaches people how to talk to each other. So I love that kind of mentality of, let's take the phones away. Let's like focus on engaging with each other and focusing and like being in the moment, being
Yeah.
in nature, being present. Like, I think that's a really beautiful thing that's coming out of all of this.
And
I,
we got to give a shout out to Lynn too. I mean, her costume was amazing as well. That was definitely a highlight. Sir, I don't know if you were able to catch that.
yeah, I did catch it. I took a picture. I've got photo evidence of her uniform outfit, so it's all good. We'll talk about it when she joins a little bit later, but we should probably jump to our sponsor.
Yes, sir.
So we're very fortunate. The HR Morning Show is powered by our new marquee sponsor, Kika. Kika is the all-in-one HR and payroll platform. So Kika is a unified HR, payroll, and performance management platform built to simplify work for modern organizations. They're being used around 10,000 organizations, so you don't have to worry that this is something new. It's been out there. It's been tested. It's a product that is available across all of North America now. They have a proven track record. So please check out kika.com. All right, let's
All right.
talk about Meta's new job board. I don't know if you guys have ever used Facebook Jobs. I've been in the job space for a very long time, and definitely was not a fan of it. But I'm curious how you guys feel about this announcement of Facebook bring jobs back.
Well, I read, reading the article. It's interesting because I don't really trust Facebook anyway, or Meta, or Zuckerberg. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I have major trust issues with anything that Meta does, even though I rock the sunglasses all the time. But um, it's just interesting that like the first thing that they kind of said was that the vision behind this is to help entry level candidates find jobs, right? Connect young people up with jobs, because that job market is extremely challenging. A lot of companies are saying, hey, we're not going to hire as many entry level and interns because AI can do the work. But then they say that, they kind of imply that maybe this is part of Meta's or Facebook's own efforts to get data for the AI as well, which I think them just suggesting that. I mean, I think everybody would think that anyway. So I just think with any of these platforms, there's always something in it for them. And, whether it's LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, whoever it is, um, it's like they're getting something from it, obviously. So, but I love how they pitch it as, hey, this is going to help entry level candidates. So my fear is the entry level candidates going to think, oh, this is going to help us. And I mean, I don't know, based on the success of other job boards and how job boards work. I mean, I don't see it really being that effective of a solution. So Danielle, I'm curious from your
Yeah,
perspective, since this
I
is
have
like
a
your
lot of
zone.
thoughts. Well, first off, Facebook, like no one entry level uses Facebook. The only reason people my
No.
age, no one, the only reason people my age use Facebook is for marketplace to like buy secondhand things and sell things. And candidly, like that's the only reason I use it. But there is something to be said about trying to go after the entry level, market, because I don't think anyone major has really come out and been like, hey, we see that entry level people can't get jobs, like we're going to help you. So I recognize that's like a strategy, that's something that people, like no other company has kind of come out and tried to own that market, besides people who already do. Sorry, there's someone knocking on my door. But I
Room
will
service.
say, yeah, rooms are like literally, I'm in a hotel in Asheville. But the other thing about it too is that Facebook is often the place where the people who don't go on LinkedIn go for jobs. Think people, in the trades, I've been talking about this a lot, but I feel like that's definitely a space where like people in construction are not on LinkedIn. So it could also be a place. Like bringing in towels right now. I'm like, I'm on a call. Yeah, there's
They
definitely, I
don't
think
know
it's,
about the morning show?
they
This
don't
is
like,
disgrace.
I can't believe you just did that. No, but yeah, I think that's kind of why I think Facebook could be a place where people find jobs, but I don't think it's going to be entry level people.
I lived through it. So I worked in the job advertising space at Indeed when Facebook Jobs was launched.
Was that
And it was,
2017?
yeah, around that time,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly around that time. And it didn't work. There was many challenges to Facebook Jobs because the quality of jobs was extremely poor.
Wow.
Also, the job matching was extremely poor as well because they were leveraging what people had put on Facebook as
Exactly.
their employment. And we all know, like, I think I did it when I originally signed up in 2008. What my job was then I was getting matched with
Yeah.
jobs that were completely not compatible at all. But here is, I think you nailed a couple of things. I don't think they care about the entry level role. I think that's just what the hot topic in the marketplace is right now. And I think this is a very similar strategy to what OpenAI has. Like a lot of job boards and a lot of job sites were really scared of what OpenAI is talking about opening, I guess, like a job board type service. But in reality, let's think about it. A job advertising space is 30 billion. That's what the market is worth. The
Yeah,
job placement, the job staffing is around 300 billion. But you put the context of OpenAI or Facebook with market
yeah,
caps of 500 billion to a trillion, they're not going to want to really play in the job advertising space at all. But, and this is my theory, and it might be completely wrong, and I think it's the same. It's what I'm thinking about OpenAI. Them knowing what the roles that are out there and need to be filled is absolutely critical in what they're building in AI tools, right? Like, I think the strategy is instead of hiring this role, we have this agentic AI that can do the same, right? Like, I think that is what Facebook and OpenAI are doing in this particular case. I don't think this is a serious play in the job board space at all.
Hmm.
I was envisioning, this is one thing I thought, obviously you got the glasses, right? And the wearables are they're gonna take over. And I was thinking at the event last week, how crazy would it be if we all had like some glasses or something that we're all wearing, it becomes a norm, and then suddenly you're getting job matches live. Like you're a recruiter and you're going to like a coffee shop You got your
Yeah.
open jobs on, and then it's pulling out information, whether it's from Facebook, OpenAI, whatever data source they have, and then you're like literally matching jobs in the moment and just going up and having conversations. Like, could that be the future of job fairs? Like, everybody put your wearables on, let's meet and let's okay, the skills match on paper, let's have the conversation. That's where my mind went. It's going.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll
Yeah.
see. Is
I
that
mean, it's super
not
interesting.
possible?
I think
Anything is possible right now because definitely the job market is broken. Like
Yeah.
there's too many stories of job seekers applying for 1,000 jobs getting ghosted. Then the flip side is you're posting a job right now, within hours you have thousands of applicants, and like how it's just broken. The whole industry is
yeah.
broken. Job
The
search
other
is broken right now.
the other thing I think is like, do we go the exact opposite way? And we go like totally in person, offline.
I think
We
there's
start submitting resumes. Like, I mean, I still see people go store to store and like submit their resumes directly for like retail jobs.
yeah.
So I don't know. I heard the other day when I was at the LG conference, someone was like, you know, it takes a really long time for humanity to adopt this kind of technology. Like it takes 10 years for people to really, for you to see it. And I think I think that's where the market is overvalued. We've overhyped AI, but we're still in the infancy stage. So I feel like at this point, anything is possible. But I do think we also will go through a bit of like a lull with the whole AI thing. Because at the end of the day, it's you really have to find the best use cases, and those things have to work in order for companies to want to spend more money on them.
Well, they made a lot of investments, so I think this
A
next
lot.
this
But
next
now
period
they're
of
in
time is
this
gonna be telling.
yeah, they're in this phase. A lot of companies have made investments. They've piloted things or they're piloting things, and now they're in kind of the assessment phase where they're like, okay, is this working? Is this not working? And if it's not working, why is it not working? And do we try something else? That's what I gathered from last week's conference as far as the state of AI.
Well, last shout out too. If you guys didn't check out the show, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Kyle Lagunas was on. Kyle's obviously a friend of. It's on Purple Acorn Network. His podcast is on there, and he did a report that really breaks down like how HR is approaching AI and had a lot of data points around like we're in assessment phase, like you said, Danielle. So if you haven't checked out that report, I'll have someone on the back end drop the link to that report, but definitely check that out if you're in HR because he did a presentation on that as well with Humanly. And it was really, really, really good presentation. I love when Kyle presents because it's like it's fun, but it's also really data driven and heavy hitting as well. And I think
Mhm.
my big takeaway was 9% of people admitted that they haven't even really done that much with AI, which that seems massive because we talk about it all the time. And then there was a large portion of just stuck in this like exploration phase as well. So check that report out. We'll get that link in there. And then Marlena, it's great to see you as well. Marlena's just said, we've been in business for 21 years. AI, we're turning jobs down. We're a small company, but great employees like myself, proud of all the accomplishments. Great topics, guys. Well, great to have you here. And then Aaron M said, awesome to see you all. It's awesome to see you too, Aaron, and anyone else who was at RecFest. Let us know what you think. What was your big takeaway? Would love to see it. And big shout out to Richie Lampani in the chat as well. Richie landed a new gig. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago was like, hey, I'm looking for a new gig. And got that new gig. So Richie, huge shout out to you. I know you got a book coming out as well, so we'll get you on the show. And then he said, what is your best use case in hiring for AI in your opinion? I don't know. Maybe that's something Serge and Lynn can talk about in our next segment.
I think that's a really good question. Well, hello. Let me guess.
Hello.
You're somewhere across the world, maybe in
I
Paris.
am in Paris. In Paris, I've had my croissants. I had some macarons. It was amazing.
Was it amazing? Oh,
Amazing.
that's so cool.
It
Yeah,
was.
I did
It
see
was.
I did see your LinkedIn post of like the before and after of your boot. Your boot looks really, really cool. Give us a quick tour, like
Yeah,
show
yeah,
us
yeah.
a
Okay,
little
I'm
bit.
gonna flip the camera around. I'm gonna take you guys on a quick tour. It's a good time because
Perfect.
everything's wrapping up here.
Oh, camera disappeared.
We have a lot of stuff going on here. This is our like chill spot. So
Okay.
this year we kind of were able to increase our space quite a bit because I don't know if you know, but we made a pretty big deal. So
Yeah, a
we're like
little
we were
deal
able
that
to
happened,
double
right?
ourselves up, right? What I'd like to introduce you to is my favorite part of the booth, by the way. This is the tour.
Okay.
Um, you can come here and anybody can come up and do a self-service demo, straight click through, get people to come and help you. And then yeah, that's it, guys.
Whoa,
We're
fantastic. How
rocking.
so
Unleash is unhooked this year, Serge.
okay, tell
There
me
are
more.
so many.
Flip the camera back around. I want to know the whole story about Unleash. For everyone listening, if you're not, so for everyone watching, she is at Unleash World, which is in Paris, one of her favorite shows by far. Are you back, Aline?
Sure.
Oh, I think you're cutting off. But while you were getting you set out, do want to talk. Oh, there you are.
You got me?
Yeah. No, I don't have you. I have the other side of you.
We figured it out.
Ah, there you are. There you are.
There we are.
So we
There we
were
are.
just talking, myself and Joel and Danielle, about you had the favorite you had our favorite costume at Wreckfest. The unicorn was a big hit. But
Uh-huh.
I asked you at Wreckfest,
I had to pull out my Portland vibe, Serge.
you did, you did. I asked you at Wreckfest, I'm like, how do you do this? Like, how do you travel so much? And then you had a good point that I see you pretty much everywhere. Obviously, I don't see you in
You're
Paris.
everywhere I am. Yeah.
But your ability to move on from, because what was your story? You were in Wreckfest, you flew home for 10 hours or drove home for 10 hours, then flew to Paris
No,
right away.
I flew home. I flew home from Nashville.
Okay.
I was home for 10 and a half hours. And then hopped on a flight to Paris. We can have a whole conversation about the Paris travel fiasco. I am still slowly acquiring the multitude of bags that got lost.
Okay.
So I'm going straight from Paris to Orlando on Friday. Only my suitcase with my Orlando clothes showed up here in Paris. So that's a bit of a challenge, different weather. But other than that, yeah, we're rocking it.
So we had a question. We just had a question on the show, and
Mhm.
I think you're the perfect person to answer. What is
Okay.
the best use case to leverage AI for hiring? I think that's a really broad question, but I think you can bring that down to like, okay, your mind, where would you start here?
Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, I'll tell you what most people start with right now. The biggest pain point in hiring, it annoys the living crap out of me. This is still the biggest pain point. It feels so basic. Honestly, it's interview scheduling. It's
Okay.
the automation and the technology around being able to do that at scale and to do it efficiently, right? That's been the biggest challenge. So that's where most people start. I don't think that's the coolest place you could go. I mean, like do that because if you cover your
Yeah.
bases first. I think one of the most interesting future states of AI, and we're starting to do it now. More agents are starting to get into the space where we're actually supporting hiring managers,
Okay.
right? Providing hiring manager intelligence, providing them insight, providing them a way to engage and to communicate with recruiters and candidates in their flow of work through conversational AI, and then also surfacing up responses to help them deal with some of their basic challenges, like what's a great interview question,
Yeah.
or serving up an easy to see way to calibrate multiple candidates that are in front of them based on if they've had both interviews and maybe screening questions, then maybe they had some assessments that needed another place. Being able to see that in one space and ask AI to help you understand what you're looking at, that's gold.
It's such a good point, Aline, because one of the things that we've done in HR and talent acquisition, we've kind of gate kept a lot of the
Mhm.
tools that we're leveraging to our hiring managers that in reality the hiring manager is the most important person in the whole hiring process, right? I think we have to change that approach, but I love that. I'm like, how can we
Yeah.
help our hiring managers leverage tools like AI?
Help hiring managers. Listen, we're on a goal, we're on a mission here, and it's happening faster than you can possibly imagine. To move away from the concept that hiring managers and even recruiters to that extent, or candidates ever need to touch your system. They should be
Yeah,
able to do all the work they need to do, get all the information they need, get all the insights that they need in their flow of work, in Slack, in Teams, in WhatsApp, however they want to absorb it. Because they don't, again, as being in the recruiting space, we do this all day in and out, right? We think this is
yeah,
the most important thing, and it is. Talent's huge importance. I write about that a
yeah.
lot. But for hiring managers, this is an add-on, usually in a very stressful period where they are maybe don't have the resources they already need to get the work done they have to finish. So just going to that extra step of having to log into an ATS or into an HCM to figure out how to process somebody through the process is a burden to them that prevents them from spending the time they need to spend and actually looking and understanding the talent in front of them. So let's get them out of that space and let's focus on where they need to be putting value in.
Really good points. Really good points. So tell me, different strategy, RecFest to Unleash
Mhm.
World as a company. How do you guys approach
Yes.
different conference and messaging and how? Because obviously the people you're going to talk to are it's going to be a little bit different. The audience is a little bit
Yes.
different. So how do you approach that, like as a strategy for smart recruiters and SAP?
Yeah, well, so I think the first thing you have to understand is who's going to be there, and what the audience segmentation is super important for us, right?
Mm,
So listen, RecFast is a practitioner's paradise. Coming from the practitioner side of the house, I love it. It's where people who do the job day in and day out have real conversations about how to tactically address real problems that they're facing. That is a very different scenario. Then transparently, when I come to a place like Unleash, this is Europe's version of where all of your big enterprise customers are at, or potential customers, and their questions are different.
yeah,
They're similar challenges, but they're trying to understand things like, how do I build a business case? How do I convince my CIO? How do I help my
exactly.
CTO work through these challenges? So for here, this is all about proving points, giving people hands-on access to information, and then showing them proof points of what's actually worked, and then putting them in front of live customers who are actually already using the platform. That's an Unleashed story. HR Tech's a different story, right? HR
Yeah,
Tech, I call that the CES of our
yeah,
industry.
that's
That is
true.
where analysts are, where press is at, and where other vendors are at, and where you get to find out what's hot in the market, to test it out yourself, to be able to have the good analyst conversations, to tee up with partners that you may want to work with going forward. So as a vendor, I approach that differently. But again, RecFest, completely different deal. Uh, let's not as much neon, a lot more. Like I say, we touch grass there, right? We have deeper conversations. We spend more time. We're talking to people who are in the thick of it, and it's a fun experience.
So what's the plan for smart recruiters? And so day one is done and events. What are you doing next couple of days, Aline?
Yeah, so I'm going to be here. We're going to wrap up Unleash tomorrow, so that'll be day 2. We will then head out. We actually have a good crew of people who are leaving directly from here with SAP engineering, and they are going to an offsite in Berlin to finalize some of the work that needs to get done to help us get all these customers migrated as quickly as possible and ready and on top of our platform. And I'm going to head off to Orlando on Friday, where I'm going to go visit Mickey Mouse. Next week, we're going to do this live from Disney World while we're at Gartner. Completely different vibe there. There we're going to be talking to CHROs
Yeah.
and industry professionals who are looking at new ways to think about talent management, which is a whole different story for us. So that's where we're headed next. And then after Orlando, I get to go home, put my feet up for a couple of weeks, and then we have some I'm going to tease it here. We've got some big plans coming starting January.
Okay.
January and February are going to be hot stories, hot business. We're gonna introduce a new conversation out there. Maybe
Okay.
maybe this isn't about recruiting anymore. Maybe this is about a larger understanding of how to connect people to work at scale, and what does that look like?
Well, Aline, I think we all agree that something needs to change. We're just talking about that. So I can't
Mhm.
wait to hear and obviously you guys are innovators in the space. So I can't wait to hear what you're cooking up. But I'm going to leave you go enjoy
Okay,
some drinks. It's the end of the
we're going
day.
to. Yeah,
And
it's time. We're getting ready to go to our Life of an HR Showgirl party. You've missed it. The pictures are up with showgirls are on the floor. We're getting ready to go do some Tay dancing.
while I feel I'm missing out, I really would
You
want to be
you
there.
are, I have to say.
I
So
am.
no,
So
it's awesome. I will see you soon.
enjoy, Aline.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey, hello. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you today?
I'm good. Is there an echo that I hear on your end? Is it all good?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
I
I
think
can
we're
put on.
good.
Yeah. You hear that?
Yeah, maybe put on some headphones. It might just be that. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for joining the show. Honestly, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity at the moment because the way that Rona was talking about you online made me just like love you immediately because of like what you believe and what I believe. I think we're probably two peas in a pod, but I'd love to hear more about your story, your background, how you got into Ribbon and what you're doing with that. And yeah, let's hear about it.
Absolutely. Well, that conversation with Rona was amazing, and she makes people feel so comfortable when we talk to her. So I can see why people gravitate towards her. But in terms of my story, I've been doing talent strategy, talent recruiting, and recruiting itself for the last 15 years, a variety of different capacity. So I start off my the agency side. And so in Toronto, when I first started, it was a small boutique agency that was focused on hiring startups, for startups, I should say. And we were building out the ecosystem in Toronto. And think about it, that 15 years ago, there was not a lot of presence in terms of
Yeah.
tech. And it started to grow quite a bit. But I learned a lot. I met a bunch of great people, a bunch of great founders that eventually had great large companies coming out of Toronto. And then that's when I shifted my career and wanted to learn more about the insides of hiring internally. And so I went to a bootstrap startup and I started working in there. And then I moved on to a venture capital side of the recruiting sphere. And that's when I learned a
Wow.
lot about, you know, building from the ground up with the founders and really step into the founder's shoes as much as possible, which was kind of addictive. And it made me really want to take my own journey at that point. And
I
so,
get it.
yeah, it was one of those seminal moments that I realized I was going to be a founder. And that's when I took that next step just before I came here is, started to join a startup called Ezra. It was an early stage AI health tech startup in New York, and I was the first employee there. I helped build and scale that team from the
Wow.
ground up. That's where I met my co-founder. So it has a lot of great memories being there, building on the ground with the two founders, and then me and my co-founder decided, we always wanted to build something together and solve this problem in this space. And his background is in the AI machine learning space, and so we got together and solved this problem.
Wow. Amazing. So I love that, and I think a lot of probably clients really appreciate the fact that you have a significant background in talent acquisition. So I just want to give you props because I think a lot of these AI solutions, right? It's a buzzword right now at the moment. I
Yeah.
think a lot of them don't really have much background in TA and in talent. So what do you think makes Ribbon different, and what do you think makes this specific journey for you different maybe from other companies out there maybe doing the same thing?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. The main thing is really being able to step in the shoes of the users and knowing what they need. So when we build out the application, the main thing that we thought about is how easy it is to use, how easy it is to onboard, how easy it is to implement, and what are the outputs that a recruiter or hiring manager would want on the other side. I think we always looked at it from the first principles lens, and so once we were doing that, we were ruthless in terms of making sure that the application um, was going to get the delight. We called it the recruiter joy. As soon as they see it, as soon as they start using it, they understood what the flow was like. They understood what their output can be. And so we spent a lot of time designing that and making sure it's really easy to implement. For example, it takes less than 30 seconds to be able to spin up an AI interview. Something that I always thought when I was a hiring manager, recruiter, using any tools, as soon as I liked an application, it took way too long to be able to get it going. And so we wanted to avoid that as much as possible.
Mm, I love that. And you also, from what I understand, you tap into more of the like, the risk side of interviewing, because as I understand it, your product is an AI interviewer. So like, how do you mitigate risk with deep fakes? I know that's a really hot topic that I'm sure people would be interested in learning more about.
Yeah. I mean, that's a problem that we have to tackle head on. And I think that's going to persist across our society in general. And it's no different really in the hiring and recruiting side of the business. The one thing that we know and we've noticed and we've heard from our customers as well is that people are using ChatGPT and they're trying to circumvent the system, giving themselves an edge. I think when it comes to something this competitive, you're always going to have people that are going to use tools to their advantage. I mean, they should, right? The tools available for
Yeah,
them, they should be using it. Like, I think you would be foolish not to use it because you'll be behind the eight ball,
100%.
as I would say.
I mean,
So,
everyone's telling us that, right? Like
right,
all the LLM CEOs are like, if you don't use this, you're gonna fall behind in your career. So, okay,
right.
we're gonna try.
That's right. So, in our case, we have a new feature called integrity monitoring. Basically, what it does is that it's as you're interviewing and answering the questions with the AI, or having a conversation, I should say, with the AI, the AI is analyzing if you're looking off screen, if you're basically your speech pattern is like you're reading something off screen. It's not to say that that's totally bad. It's just flagging it, right? Because it's saying something
Mm,
doesn't seem right. It seems a little bit odd, or you're hearing some background noise where somebody's feeding you information, for example, and the individual's blur in the background or something like that. And so all it does is that the feature flags it, and then it points exactly where on the interview, because it's a video interview, right, or an audio interview, it points exactly where that is, and it gives you the opportunity to look at it for yourself. And so it says, well,
okay.
it's up to you to make that determination, decision, but we're just flagging that for you directly where that clip is. And I'm a sports guy, and so I think of that as like an instant replay. It gives you that instant replay. You can make that judgment call for yourself, and from there
Yeah.
you decide if you want to move forward or not.
Well, let me push back on that for a second,
Yeah.
because for me, I have ADHD. The
Hmm.
way that my brain works too is, I look up when I'm thinking and
Yeah.
when I'm trying to come up with something to really say, and maybe a reflection, like a deeper thought that comes from me looking up and kind of pondering it. Other people look down, right? Other people look to the side. Other people could look straight on and continue to talk, but that's not me. So for someone who's neurodivergent, like how would that maybe convert into, but would that convert into a flag, or like what would that be? And
Yeah.
I have an opportunity to kind of say that?
Yeah, and I'm the same. I think in this podcast, I probably looked over to the corners a couple of times. I think it's just natural, but it's really it's just a pattern, right? It's just looking at to see if
Okay.
an individual's looking over for a really long period of time. And again, it's you're in the driver's seat, so you have the ability just to be able to view or listen to the audio and be able to say, yeah, this is what we think. Um, you know, what I think the individual is doing. It doesn't. We're not making that decision with AI. We're just flagging that. We
Hmm.
always say our tool is really a information gathering tool, and so it's out there, be able to give you all the information that you would want in front of you on top of just a resume so that you can make that decision. It's the same thing you would do as a team if you were able to get all of your recruiters to be able to screen and have interviews 24/7 across all of the applicants, if that's possible. That's ultimately what it is. It takes that next stage and it gives you an extra data point for you to build.
Okay. So basically, once someone completes an interview,
Yeah.
let's say one person has a bunch of flags and another person has maybe a couple less. Would that mean that the system would rank the person with more flags
No.
as lower? No.
No. So
Okay.
it wouldn't rank the individual for flags. It would just basically um, give you an opportunity to look at all the candidates because you could search for keywords based on what the individual has interviewed and answered, I should say, and from there you can organize your flow. So just like a recruiter, you typically want to start at the top with the best candidates and you work your way down, and that's all it is it saves you time to be able to say, yeah, I want to look at these candidates because I noticed that these are the answers that they provided. I inputted my scoring rubrics that is looking for certain things about the candidate in the interview, not just like keywords in a resume, of course, right? It's more of the context and in that conversation, and then from there, it will show you inside of that profile if anything was flagged or not. For the
Okay.
most part, I would say that's typically an outlier from what I've seen from all of our data. That's probably less than 10%. You'll be surprised once people are doing an interview, they're pretty honest.
Hmm.
You always get a few of those individuals that are taking advantage, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward.
And just to kind of wrap us up, thank you for answering my questions. Um, what are you most excited about when it comes to like the opportunity you see in this space?
Yeah, the biggest thing I get really excited about is the ability to give everyone equal access to have an interview. I
Mm,
think in I've got a couple of really heartfelt anecdotes where it was a single mom. The individual wanted to do an interview. They have kids, and so after they had a long day at work, they are taking care of their kids, and they now want to interview with a recruiter because they want to make a move to another job. They can't do that, at 8 p.m., 11 p.m. at night. And so this gives them an opportunity to be able to interview at their commutes 24/7, 7 days a week essentially. And it allows them to be able to showcase their personality where in a world where everything's kind of equal now with the resume, because everybody's using ChatGPT to like polish up their resume and their
yeah.
information, it gives that individual an opportunity to stand out, be unique, be able to give context, answer the specific questions that would make a hiring manager or recruiter say, "Oh yeah, you know what? I think Danielle is great. I love how she answered this particular question. I want to be able to have that deeper conversation with her."
Hmm. Love it. Super heartfelt indeed. Well, thank you so much, Dave. If you want to learn more about Ribbon, go to ribbon.ai, I believe, right?
That's right. Yeah, Ribbon.ai, and if anybody wants to find me on LinkedIn as well, I'm pretty accessible, so I'm always happy to answer people's questions.
Amazing. Well, thanks for joining and looking forward to seeing you again.
Sounds good. Thanks, Danielle. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Bye.
Hello. I'm just joking. It wasn't really a real phone call. But Jon, welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much, Joel. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to share this space with you.
Hey, it truly, you should tell everybody else that because it's not usually what I hear. But your sound sounds amazing, so it's great to have you here. Why don't you give us a quick intro? Who are you? What do you do? What do you want people to know about you?
Oh, who am I? Goodness, we're
I
getting to the
know, deep,
philosophical
right?
questions right away.
Deep.
Uh, uh, Listen, Joel, I spent the past 2.5 decades of my life in the corporate world. And
Sorry to
about
hear
4 years ago, I decided to walk away from that. And I started my own business. And eventually it led
that.
me back to school, where I got a master's in applied positive psychology and ended up writing a book. And the book is titled A Guide to Thriving. And that's what, that's what we're here to talk about.
I love it. I love it. So, A Guide to Thriving. Um, I think I've got the notes here as well, so I'm a little bit ahead of the game here. But give me an overview of the book. Like, why did you write the book? Who is it for? Who needs to pick up a copy of this book today?
Well, can I flip this around on you for a second, Joel, and ask you a question?
Absolutely not. This isn't a one-way interview. No, you can ask me a question.
Well, have you ever felt like you're in survival mode?
I would say yes. I have. I feel that quite often.
Yeah. What does that feel like to you? If you don't mind, like just a brief description of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've run my own business for the past, I don't know, 2.5 years, and as you know, things are up and down at times, and so, being the sole provider of my family, I got 3 kids. A lot of times for me, that can be points where, for example, I know I have to hit business development super hard. So, um, I feel like throughout my career and the time that I've had, in those times where things maybe change quickly or things end up being unexpected, those are the times where I go into survival mode. And usually, it's like I said, it's just
Yeah,
heavy on
I hear
BD, a
you.
lot of energy, and that type of
Yeah.
thing.
And lots of responsibility, right? Keeping your business
Exactly.
afloat since you're an entrepreneur. And that can send us into this state of survival mode where we become hyper focused and we become really reactive, right? And our
Yes.
thoughts, we overthink a lot. And it's hard for us to connect with our emotions or with how our body's doing. Now, let me ask you the follow up question, which is, have you ever felt like you're thriving, Joel?
Yeah, funnily enough, I feel like it kind of goes between both. I mean, again, that solopreneur life is it's kind of up and down. So there's moments where it is like, hey, I'm just surviving. I'm trying to figure out how to get by, and then there's definitely moments where it's like, all right, things are good. I'm able to spend more time with the family, with the kids. Business is going well, the brand is going well. So I feel like it kind of ebbs and flows with that.
That's beautiful. And so what the science is telling us is that thriving is that space in which we're calm and connected to others,
Mm.
and we can be really creative, and we can really see a lot of options in front of us. So the idea behind the book was, over the past 2.5 decades, there's been a tremendous amount of research around how to go from survival mode to thriving. But unfortunately, that research hasn't become widely available. We see some TikTok trends, or you see it on Instagram. But if you're really interested in trying to understand what's behind that, that's why I wrote this book. Because 10 years ago, when I was, trying to climb the corporate ladder and get my next promotion and my next raise,
Yeah.
I wish I would have had a book like this to read and to tell me a little bit, what are some of the changes that I can make? And one of the big ideas in the book that I think really helped me when it finally clicked for me was this idea of agency.
Mm.
And the way I define agency is the capacity that we have as humans to make intentional choices, and the belief that those choices actually matter and have an impact on the world. So think about it this way. You were just sharing with me, Joel, that you're a solopreneur and you have your business. What's your choice if you had to walk away from that business?
What do you mean? What's my like? What other options do I have? Oh,
Yes,
I guess.
correct.
Okay. Going homeless and streaming it live on TikTok and asking people for
Exactly. And you know
money.
what? What you said, it's such a common response for us high achievers and A types, right? Going homeless. We go through, I lost a job to I'm living under a bridge, right?
Yeah.
This is a very typical response. Now, agency is actually breaking down that process that just happened for you in the snap of a second and saying, well, before I go homeless,
Yeah.
I have a wide network. There's people that could offer me
Yeah. I'd
jobs, or
move in with
there's
my
people
parents. Let's just make
you
that
could
clear,
move it.
mom and dad.
Yeah, I don't know how close that one is to homeless, but the point that
It's
the
worse.
point that I'm trying to make is that agency is Joel actually sitting back and saying, okay, this is not black and white. This is not either my business is really successful or I'm homeless living under a bridge. There's a rainbow of options in the middle, right? It's a simple idea, but it's really complex in practice. And most of us, right, our brains and our bodies are wired to make decisions quickly, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, a few, 10,000, 20,000 years ago, if you were in the savannah and you heard like a rustle in the bushes, right? You were supposed to react quickly. You didn't have time to say, oh, maybe I move in with my parents or maybe I get another job, or it's run, right? It's fight, flight, or freeze. And that's a highly adaptive way to react when your physical safety is at risk. But for most of us, our physical safety is rarely at risk.
Yeah.
So we react to psychological threats in the same way that we would react to a physical threat.
Interesting.
And that really limits our ability to enjoy our lives and to thrive.
I love that. I love it. And I know in your own story as well, it sounds like you may be in one of those corporate environments where it was just always go, 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 right? Hustle, hustle, hustle. I know there's a trend right now going on. It's like the 996 trend. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But essentially those work patterns of like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, it seems to be kind of coming back. So I'm curious for your take on this always kind of like hustle mentality. Sounds like you've got like another perspective to that maybe we need to look at, that leaders really need to look at.
Yeah. I mean, you can hustle as much as you want. Eventually you'll burn out and you won't get to hustle anymore. You won't get to hustle anymore, or you'll get sick or whatever happens. And I think my experience was, so after I left corporate, I went to work for a startup, a big Toronto startup, and we raised a Series B, $115 million. We were expanding. We were growing really, really quickly. And I thought I had finally made it. I reached, the pinnacle of my career, wealth and status and power, big team. I went to LA to look at some facilities because we were expanding. And when I came back, I got COVID. I was really tired. I was working, I would say, you said 996. I would say it was more like 6, 11, 7, something like that. And when I got back, we were on a technical call about a warehouse management system. Anyway, I won't get into the details of it.
Yeah.
And it escalated really fast, and I lost it. So I shut off my laptop, turned off my phone, and my kids, who at the time were, I think 10 and 6, were in the basement. So I went down and I started playing Legos with them. No screens. I just sat there and I was present. And for the first time in months, I realized that even though they saw me around the house, even though we had breakfast together or dinner together, I wasn't really present because my mind was working all the time.
Yeah.
And in that moment, just playing with the Legos with them, I had this realization and I said, well, is this really the life that I want to be living? And in the moment, before that moment, I didn't feel like I had a choice. I felt like I had to hustle harder and I had to keep raising money and keep growing the business and all this great stuff. But in that moment, another choice opened for me. I said, okay, maybe I don't have to do this. And the moment that other choice opened, then other choices started appearing in my life, which led me to this moment where I'm talking to you, Joel. So my point is that when you feel like you don't have a choice, which means that you're not actually leaning into your sense of agency, that probably means you're in a state of survival. It's a good indicator. It doesn't apply to everybody, and let's not make any blanket statements, but for most of us, when we feel like we've lost our ability to make an intentional choice, that's the moment where we can sit down and explore what is happening for us.
Yeah, obviously we don't want to make blanket statements here, but I would, based on conversations that I've had with a lot of people, even based on a lot of the content that I put out where I talk about, kind of like that corporate mindset, like selling your soul to corporate is what I'm calling it now. I think there's a lot of people who would feel very much that way. We're bombarded with notifications, right? It's hard to get into that deep work because we've got that email coming through, that other notification, that text message. There's very much that you can fall into that mentality of, hey, I'm really busy. I've got a lot of meetings. I've got a lot of things going on. But am I actually satisfied? Am I getting things accomplished? Am I doing my best work? Am I present with people I work with and people at home? So I think a lot of people would really, really resonate with this. And in fact, we were mentioning it earlier at the conference we were at last week. There was several talks around this kind of similar topic about unplugging, being present, being really meaningful with the work that you're doing as well. I'm curious too. Like we have you mentioned climbing the corporate ladder, right? We hear this a lot. Do you think those days are kind of over? Do you think we need to kind of open our minds to like different ways to kind of grow in our career? Like walk me through that. Like what do you see as kind of like that future of climbing the ladder? Is that something that we're not necessarily going to see as much as in the future? We need to be open to new things. What's your thoughts on that?
It's a wonderful question. And my short answer is I don't know. But I'm going to take a wild guess here. And I'm going to
I like it.
say I think for some of us, right? Achieving goals and extrinsic motivators, money, power, status, titles, all that stuff will
Looks.
continue to be. Yeah, look, exactly. Yeah, well, look at the screen, man. So, for some of us, this is really, really important. For me, it still is, right? I don't think we're going to be able to just retreat to, some top of a mountain and just be zen and say, okay, I only care about my intrinsic motivators and that's it.
Yeah.
Although, I think that'd be pretty boring, at least for me, right? So I think the question is about balance. How do we balance this idea that we have to be, productive, right? With the idea that our value doesn't necessarily depend on our productivity. And what I mean comes up more often than any other idea I've ever seen or experienced in my life. So if tomorrow you had to stop producing because whatever, it could be a disease or it could be whatever it is. And for a lot of people, this actually happens. What would be your value? And people get lost. There's just dead silence. We've completely tied our identity as humans to this notion of productivity. And yes, productivity is important. Listen, we wouldn't be talking on a screen from hundreds of miles of distance, and we wouldn't have medicine and vaccines and all of these great things if we didn't produce. Yes, it is. But when your life becomes exclusively about productivity, then we start losing meaning. And that's why a big part of this idea of leaning into agency is that when we lean into our agency, we start finding and bringing meaning back into our lives. And that in turn create this spiral that feeds itself of well-being. And here's the most powerful thing, Joel. When we do this, it doesn't only affect us. It affects everybody else around us. It affects our family. It affects our communities. It affects the entire space that we live in. And that's a really powerful idea. Those ripples that we create then create ripples of their own. So the fact that we've forgotten how important that is and how important human connection is telling us something about what's going to happen in the next few years. And by the way, I was listening to the rest of the show, which is fantastic. And I know AI is this really, really big topic.
I've heard.
Yes. When I came up in my career, when I came up, the biggest thing, the biggest compliment you could get is you're the smartest person. Somebody said, oh, so-and-so is so smart, or so-and-so is so smart.
Yeah.
It can write better than us. It can create better slide decks than us. It can prepare better strategy than us. It can look at angles that we never imagined. And this is 2 years in, by the way. Yeah. 5 years in, God knows what it's going to be able to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's no longer about being the smartest person in the room. My prediction here, and again, this is speculative and this is just my point of view, is that human connection is going to be the next frontier for what makes a leader a great leader. And it's been like that for many years, right? But if you were kind of not the best at human connection, but you made really good decisions and decisions that drove lots of, revenue or increased profitability, you could make a great career and get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen as much in the future. So it's going to be interesting what this turns into.
Yeah, look, it's I think this is what we feel when we go to these events, right? When you go and meet with people, it's interesting because sometimes, like you said, sometimes even within that, it's the most intellectually smart people don't always necessarily do the best at reading the room, right? There's this emotional intelligence and this connection that we find is really valuable, and being able to understand, connect, listen, right? Like listening to people and really having empathy and understanding is huge, and especially in the people space. This is something which I think a lot of brands or a lot of companies that are looking to infiltrate recruiting and HR, sometimes they forget that the core of those businesses is people. So if you're not creating a product that allows people to connect more, sometimes I do think we're kind of missing the point there. I want to touch on one thing that you said, or one thing that you mentioned. This whole idea of how important building this community, building trust at work is, and how that ties into performance. Because I think, like we were just talking about, there's a lot of emphasis on technology and driving productivity, saving time, efficiencies. But one thing it doesn't get talked a lot about is like this building community and having that sense of belonging at work. So talk to me about that. Like, how important is that? And is that going to be more important for companies to think about and leaders to think about in the future as well when they're building teams?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the difference between being in survival mode and thriving, and how in order for us to thrive, we need to feel psychologically safe, which is a more academic word for trust, right? It's psychological safety. It's this space where you feel like you can actually speak up and there's not going to be any negative repercussions, or you can come into a meeting and show up as who you are and belong into the group, even if you don't fit in perfectly, right?
Yeah.
I remember for the longest time I worked for this company where we used to let people go and we said, well, you're not a fit, right?
Yeah.
So and we hear that often, right?
All the
What does that mean, right? And I think not being a fit means how much are you willing to sacrifice your authenticity in order to belong, right? And I go back to the word balance here. If we can create psychologically safe workplaces where people can show up as who they are, of course within limitations. If you're going to show up naked at work, maybe that's not appropriate, But if you can show up in the way that you are with your thoughts and your ideas, then it allows the business to move forward in ways that are unexpected. When there is no psychological safety, we're just following whatever the majority saying or the person with the most power or authority saying, and then we get to miss on a lot of these opportunities. So call it corporate agency. The corporate agency decreases when there is a lack of psychological safety. And I think especially today, as technology is evolving so quickly, and the world that we're living in is getting increasingly complex. We have so many information and data points coming at us all the time. Unless we can be in thriving mode, unless we can be in a state of calm, of connection, and of creativity, we're not going to be able to digest that and come up with the best possible solution. What we're going to end up doing is just keep repeating the same old patterns. And that's the general idea behind the book.
I love it. Well, Jon, it's been a pleasure spending time with you. I wish we had more time. I think there's a lot more that we could dive into in all these topics. But what's the best place for people to connect with you? And we'll put a link to in the chat so people can pick up the book. But if someone wants to connect with you, if
So
they're interested
LinkedIn.
in your coaching, LinkedIn, that's the place. Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
I'm very active. I'm posting all the time. I love starting conversations there, and I
Cool.
found it's a great place. Interestingly enough, from all the social networks, I find LinkedIn to be the most psychologically safe one. For some reason, I think it's because there's this kind of space of professionalism that engulfs it, and it's a
Yeah.
really good space to have deep conversations. So find me there, and I'm happy to connect.
I love it. Well, Jon, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully we'll get to connect in the future. And guys, go pick up A Guide to Thriving. We'll put the link in the comments. And until next time, Jon, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Joel. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you do. Take care.
Wow, what a convo. Joel got
Seriously, I love that.
therapized.
I love it. I love it. Can I ask you a question? I'm like, oh, now I've got to say something.
No, I honestly love that because, yeah, not many people have the cojones to come on and flip the switch and
flip the switch.
flip the script, the script, the
Sounds
switch.
like,
Guys, I can't talk anymore. I've been talking all week.
No, it's all good. All good. And you're in
So
Asheville, not Nashville, right? Just so we're clear.
Asheville, yeah.
Okay,
At
cool.
one point, I was planning on going from Nashville to Asheville, but didn't happen. So,
Nah, that's okay. That's okay.
yeah. But tell us about you're going to the Recruiting Innovation Summit in San Diego, I believe.
San Diego. Yes,
San Diego.
we're in San Diego in 2 weeks, and I am super surprised. Super surprised. I'm super excited because my wife is going to be coming with me. So Rachel, my wife,
Ah,
she's my best friend, my
my
co-pilot in
wife.
life, just amazing person. So I was like, one of the things I think Evan, shout out to Evan White on the back end here, the founder of Purple Acorn, but he had suggested, he's like, you need to bring your wife to one of these events so she can kind of see what you do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I do get some heat from her with going to these conferences. She's like, all you're doing is going out to nice dinners and just hanging out. I'm like, no, this is work. I'm recording sessions. I'm speaking. I'm doing all this other stuff. So I'm bringing her with
Yeah.
me, but it's also an opportunity, I think, for her to kind of connect with some of my friends, some people who, I really, really care about as well. So I'm just excited for her to kind of see. She's not a recruiting fan or a fan of anything corporate, which
Yeah.
I think is always kind of a nice breath of
That's
fresh air.
great.
But I'm going to be doing a roundtable, which is on a topic which I think is really, really cool. It's going to be scaling personalization, which I just think is really cool because I think there's a tendency nowadays to scale with automation and AI, and you lose that personalization. Or sometimes
For
people are trying
sure.
to manufacture personalization. So we're going to talk about
Yeah.
that. And I'm going to be leading another workshop, an AI workshop, where essentially we get practitioners in the room. It's just an open dialogue of like, how are you using AI? What are some ways that we could use AI? There's no vendors in there. We're not pushing any products or tools. We're really just as practitioners, as recruiting leaders, recruiters who are on the
Yeah.
field. We're looking at like, how are we actually using it? So that event is going to be in San Diego. I think it's November 4th and 5th. Huge shout out to ERE for this. I went to the one earlier this year. Danielle, you were there.
Yeah.
More of an intimate setting. Definitely an opportunity to really, really connect deep with people.
It's a better size. I really like the smaller conferences.
It's funny. I have to agree with you. I think the content at larger conferences can also be great because you end up having a lot of enterprise conversations, right? Hey, it's what we're doing in the big, and
Right.
it can be kind of visionary. But there is something about the smaller conferences where you get more time with people. And then one of the things I love about the Recruiting Innovation Summit too is like we all eat together. And guys, I think this is something about like getting in a room with people and just eating, and it's like whoever's at your table, you end up talking to them. So you kind of get that
Yeah.
serendipitous moments as well, where you're able to just meet and
Yeah.
connect with random people, which is
I
really
mean, the conference I'm at right now, which is a camp conference, is very camp vibes, and we have every meal together. So
I
I
love
think
that.
except for real dinner. Dinner's been like hors d'oeuvres. But tonight
Okay.
we're going to play pickleball,
Oh, I
and
love that.
it's a fun venue. Asheville is like it's a very cool city. Their culture is less bars with screens like to watch sports, and
Yeah.
it's more bars with live music and beer. Like it's a beer garden with live
Just
music, which
Wisconsin. You just described
ideal.
Wisconsin.
It sounds
I was
like
bashing
I'm
Wisconsin.
living your life.
You need to move here.
We
Just
should do a conference in your town.
Yeah, we should. It'd be a sellout because we'd have
Killer.
one space because there's
Um,
not that much room. But I see Brian there. Brian's
also,
going to be there as well. Brian Fink, our man, Brian Fink is going to
love.
be there, and then Aaron M. Send me a DM. I would love to meet with you, connect with you, and anyone who else is out there who's going to be there, connect with me. I would love to get with you guys. Sorry, cut you
Yeah.
off as well.
No, it's fine. I have some people knocking on my door asking if I'm going to ERE too. But I'm not. But I will be in LA on November 21st until December 1st.
Whoa.
So any LA listeners, let me know. I'd love to see you, connect with you, IRL, talk about next gen talent, how you're taking care of them.
I love it.
And that's it. That's all the information I have at the moment.
Well, I love it. Well, guys, I want to give a special shout out again to our friends at Kika as well. We're really, really proud to have such a great sponsor. So if you haven't checked them out, please go check them out. And guys, we're still trying to get, I can't believe I'm asking this again. We're trying to get to 2,000 followers. Okay. So if you're not following the Purple Acorn page, please follow our LinkedIn page. We're pumping out content from all of our shows. We got a ton of shows. I think we have a show every single day.
You didn't get everyone from Wreckfest to follow the page.
I was trying to get them to follow me first, right? It's
Joel, you
phases.
failed. You failed us.
It's phases, all right? Look, if we
This
get
is what
1%,
happens when I let the boys run the show.
that's right. And if we get 1% of my followership, we'll break the 2,000 record. So
Perfect.
slight flex there. But if you want to see more of Purple Acorn, please go to Purple Acorn network.com. Pan, as I like to call it. We've got podcasts all over the place. We got I know Mike Pedito, he just launched his podcast on the network. Is this still a good time? I think is what it's called. But great recruiting podcast, so check that out. We got so much great content on the network. Shout out to Evan White. And a special shout out to Alan Seals as well. Alan was on the ground with us at RecFest doing a ton of recording. He's just such an easy person to work with, like very just a really great guy to work with. So huge shout out
Such
to
a
Alan
professional.
as well. Such a professional, like just no ego, just working, hustling, grinding. And guys, as a reminder, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, anywhere you listen to podcasts, probably Netflix soon. I hear that's going to be a thing, but But guys, it's been a great show. Danielle, as always, it is awesome to host with you. It's great to see you again.
Right back at you.
Hopefully we'll be at an event soon together as well. And then guys, thanks so much for all the comments as well. I see Aaron in the comments quite a bit. Brian, LinkedIn user, change your privacy settings. Evan,
That's me.
is that you? Change your settings, okay? And then Emily, great to see you as well. But we'll be live on the road, Purple Acorn at Recruitment Innovation Summit. So if you're thinking about going, definitely go. And I think that's it. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
All right, that is a wrap, guys. We appreciate all of you, and we'll be back next week with the
Thanks for
HR
tuning
Morning
in.
Show. Purple Acorn out.
Bye.